But hate to break it to you there, babe girl. You're out there doing some serious things. And that's much harder to turn around if you don't have the right people around you and talk about your wins.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the #1 mental health and addiction podcast, the Hopeaholics. I am your girl, Natalie Eva Marie, and these are my boys.
I'm Chad.
I'm at Sheren, baby.
Hell
Bash
yeah.
Brothers.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
And remember, new episodes dropping every Tuesday and Friday. Check them out.
This episode is brought to you by the Infinity Group. You guys, if you or a loved one is suffering, please call us today. The number is right here on the screen. We are here for you 24/7. Now, let's get into the episode.
Kelsie, welcome, man.
Thanks for having me.
Now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden,
Wow.
he is doing the intro. Welcome
Yeah.
to the Hopeaholics podcast.
All of a sudden.
Kelsie.
You said yesterday, just get going. I'm going, baby.
Yeah, just get
All
going.
of
Get going.
a sudden.
Yeah.
Now all of
The
our
punch.
personalities come out because we're live.
Right?
I know you
We
guys
all
were-
act different now.
Yeah, baby.
Everyone was real quiet.
Real quiet.
That switched real quick when you said you're live, huh?
Yeah, I know. It was getting a little bit strange. Shane was being a little bit quiet, which is abnormal for him.
I mean, I was going to say, like, from listening to the show, it was too silent. I was like, did I do
Silent.
something?
Too silent. No,
Especially,
no.
I mean, you guys are both Canadian,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, she's from far more advanced territory than I am.
And I'm from Ontario. I just live in a
Ontario.
really...
I was working in Cambridge for a number of years.
So I'm from a town that barely exists.
What is the name?
Campbellford.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Exactly. So what we have is Russell Williams, who's the serial killer. So we
Yeah.
have him, and we invented the toonie.
Oh, the Toonie.
Yeah.
And probably one strip bar
No, we don't
in
have.
Russellford.
No,
A
we
little
don't even have
shack in the
that.
corner. Really?
No.
Wow, it's not a town then.
No, it's barely a town.
Barely a
It's
town.
cute.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
cute.
all the towns in Canada got a strip bar.
wait, what's a toonie?
What's a strip bar?
A naked, nudie.
$2.
A nudie. A
toonie?
nudie. A nudie.
Yeah.
a
So you know how
nude
there's like a loony?
bar. a loonie
we have
and a
like
toonie.
the toonie.
$2 bills don't exist. They're a coin.
Yeah, they're coins. So it's like silver and then gold in
Yeah.
the middle. So we have a massive one in our park.
Yeah,
We have a $2 bill.
We
Yeah,
don't.
but we don't.
We don't. It was. It was.
We
taken
start at
away.
5.
Yeah.
And soon it'll just be digital. So
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah, though, I bet you Canada will be fully digital before America. Yeah,
it's
happening.
there's
It's bad.
it's not fun.
No, it's bad.
It's bad.
Are we allowed to talk about that guy that runs Canada? What's his
Oh,
name?
the
Trudeau?
dictator?
Yeah, the dictator.
The one that's dropping the country into the worst tyranny and economic state it's been and going to be in the next 30 years. Yeah, him.
Yeah, that
Yeah, he's
guy.
a real winner.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, what they're doing to Jordan Peterson is bananas.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I said this to somebody else recently. It's like Jordan's getting the brunt because he's the first in the door.
Yeah.
He's just the first in the door, and the rest of us are walking in behind. It's unfortunate because he's got the platform. He was the first major Canadian podcaster to come out and get recognition in any way, shape, or form. And once he did, they're going to watch everything he does like a hawk. So it's to be expected. That's first in the door for anything's going to get it.
It's so gross.
It's
though.
disgusting. What is it?
Especially someone like him. I mean, Jordan Peterson is phenomenal.
I think he's one of the greatest people to come out of Canada. Unfortunately, because of who he is and his willingness to call people out on the lack of accountability and where our society is growing our humans up, you're always going to get that the governments don't like people when you open citizens' minds and show them that they can do things for themselves and not rely on them.
For
Well,
sure.
and it's even more than that. Take a look at even their community today. Everyone's kind of overweight.
Kind of?
Okay, I was.
Are you talking about Canada personally?
Canada? Let's just
specifically?
focus on Canada. Then.
Yeah.
70% of the population is overweight.
Right.
So he is dictating to these people with open ears
Mm-hmm.
that want to be lazy, that want to get unemployment, that want to sit on the fucking couch,
Right.
that don't want to go into work, that
Right.
want to stay home and work mobile,
Right.
if at all.
If at all. I would even say if at all.
He's turned the country lazy.
Well, he's not only turned the country lazy, and I think there has to be personal accountability, and I'm a big proponent of radical accountability, not extreme ownership, radical accountability for things when you're not doing what you should be doing. But part of the problem is we've devoid our children of small doses of adversity. We've devoid our children of difficult situations.
Hence, participation trophies.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We don't play that game with our kids. So none of that. So, but then you also have things that kind of come down the pipe, like you've seen with the new hate bill that has come out from Canada, where it is hate speech. If you were to say, my name is Natalie, I'm she, her, and I go, no, your name is Natalie and you're a female, they can charge me with hate speech, and now it's life imprisonment. As well as you've got CRTC with the Bill C-11. Your TikTok bill, y'all are like, oh, it's TikTok. Please wake up. Please wake up. Because we just did this in Canada. It's called Bill C-11. It's not going to affect any of your other things. It's not going to affect the internet at all. But it's radically going to affect your ability to do your job if you're a content creator, to do your job if you do any sort of YouTube or any sort of monetization online. You don't see our media. We can't see our news. Not that you would. It's all state run. But you have to have a VPN. It's complete. No, CBC, they came out. And it's obvious. CSIS has come out and said it. CSIS has come out, which is our FBI, and publicly stated that our government has been ideologically captured by the CCP and well paid off now since he has been put in office. He's a disaster of a human being, and he is driving Canada into, we're 18 months ahead of you. We are literally on fire. We trained the Chinese military in 2020 in our capital above you. So Canada's a trip right now. If you say anything against them, the CSIS will show up at your door. And it's the cutest thing when CSIS shows up. Have you guys seen that video that went viral?
No.
You would love this. So it's...
CSIS, what the fuck?
Okay, this is the best.
Wait, what is CSIS?
Our FBI, like our CIA. Okay, so you're gonna love this in particular. So this family, this guy tweeted, he's like, Trudeau should be hung for treason, which... based on our law, we as people have the right to overtake our governments if they are tyranny, period. So he tweeted this, and CSIP showed up at his door with their masks on, because of course they have masks on, and he's filming it. And this is the most Canadian interaction. He goes, can I help you? And he goes, well, bud, we're just here from CSIS, and we just want to let you know that we think you've been threatening the Prime Minister's life here. So we need you to tone it down, and we need you to stop doing that. And he goes, well, bud, I'm not going to be doing that. And I have every right to say it's freedom of speech, and I'm going to keep saying it. And he goes, well, bud, we're going to end up having to be at your house then all the time. And he goes, well, my wife's Tammy. We make coffee. You guys are welcome to come in and hang out and sit down anytime, but I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Nice.
But it's like, who interacts? It's so Canadian.
That's
a Canadian argument right there.
That's it. So, well, you know what?
We don't really fight. That's it.
You can surveil us. You can do whatever you want. You can threaten us. You can intimidate us. But it's like eventually Canadians are going to wake up, and they are. And you saw that with the protests, and you're seeing it with other individuals speaking out. And for example, if I did this podcast virtually from Canada, your viewership would have been significantly smaller. But I'm doing it here. I'm out of Canada while I'm doing it. That's why I come to the States. That's why I'm on all the shows in the US, because our stuff can't break through. Like Brass and Unity doesn't break through anymore. So that's why I do the US shows, because I really believe in freedom of speech, and the United States has it. We don't have it in our Charter of Rights. No. So we have they actually just voted and stated that it is a nuisance to call people women. We call them people with vaginas. So when you have an assault case now, it's no longer acceptable to say that it was a female that was assaulted. It was a person with a vagina. Get the fuck out of here. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. So
I kind of like her.
Canada's a trip.
I know. It'll pop in little words she says too.
Yeah. Stop it.
It's the best. What? That's bananas.
Bananas. So you mentioned freedom and Brass and Unity. Talk a little bit about those two things.
I mean, look at
freedom and Brass and Unity. Let's get into that.
And all of us are wearing our Brass and Unity.
You wanna,
the only difference is I don't force you to wear it. They put it on for the show.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm actually, you guys, the hoops that I wear all the time that you see are Brass Unity.
Those big good hoops.
And then I've been wearing this guy.
Dude, since we met over a year.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you, like, it's really funny too, because my girlfriend Alana is always like, I wear your stuff all the time. And I was like, you don't have to wear anything I give you. And she's like, I talked to Natalie, and I was like, how do I tell Kelsie that maybe Dean's not going to wear it all the time because he's paid to wear other things? I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you have it in your drawer and you know I love you. And you know that if you ever get to a point where you don't want to be here anymore, you put that on because you know you can call. Yeah. That's all it is to me, right? It's just my heart walking around on people's bodies. It's nothing else.
Well, yeah. Tell what it is. Tell what it is.
Heart?
No, it is.
Say the meaning behind the bracelets.
So they're called the buddy check pack, right? And I'm a big believer in accountability, and not like that traditional sense of like, we hold each other accountable. No, I'm like a big believer in radical accountability for one another. And that's how we stop our suicides in our community. So what you do is you buy a pack, you call a buddy, you save a life. And so you spark a conversation. And I know you'll agree with this, but I'm so tired of our veterans going like, let's go meet up and have a drink. I don't want you to go meet up and have a drink. I want you to meet up and go for a walk. I want you to meet up and go work out. I want you to meet up and go lift. But instead of just saying, hey, I see that you're going through it, that's awkward for people. They don't know how to spark conversations in the male community. They just don't. So we say, take these, set it down in front of them. And that is a community starter. That is a conversation, like just catalyst. And it's like, this just means that at any point now, you and I, we own each other in terms of accountability of if something's going wrong in your family, you're struggling, you're getting suicidal, you can come to me and you are a safe spot and we will do everything we can to help you. And it's just a slight reminder. And I got it because I'd given it to an SF dude one time and he came to me after and he said it saved his life and I couldn't understand. And he stated that he was reaching for a pistol that night and it was on his wrist and he knew how pissed off. It was just a moment that stopped him because we understand suicide is an impulse. It happens late at night. It happens when they're at the lowest of the low and they're not thinking clearly. And so if it is just a moment of pause, that can often be the thing that stops it dead in its tracks. And that's all I wanted. And since then we've sold over 20,000 of the Buddy Check packs. And they have, out of everything I've done in Brass and Unity, those will be my legacy for that company because they are my heart walking around on people. And I just never want people to feel like they have to become a statistic. That's just the hard truth because that's where we're at right now. Yeah. So that's what those are. And then we have other awesome jewelry that you always wear so graciously. And I appreciate you deeply for that. I just want you to feel loved. And you're like, I don't need any more. No, but this is how I show my love.
Well, I also am a huge person, especially when it's like, you know, whether it's a friend or acquaintance, you hear it all the time. And I've seen memes like this and I'm like, damn, that's sad, but true. You have no problem as an individual hitting up a small business that's your friend wanting free things, right? And then when you want to say support them because it is a small business, and you have no problem spending your money on some other small business that is out there, why wouldn't you support somebody that you actually know? So hence when we first met and I went on your site and I saw it, and then I also saw the meeting, and obviously everyone knows veterans are mean a lot to me just because of my own father being a Vietnam veteran. I went on and made my purchase, and then
Tripped me out.
Were super sweet and obviously added more to my package. But I feel like you have to support those, especially if you know them and they have a business. Spend some money.
Yeah, I appreciate you for that. When I saw that come through, I was like, I almost hit the refund button. I felt like you would have punched me through this.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm a big believer in community. Community saves, community heals. It can change people's lives. So I had to find a way to do that. And that's what Brass and Unity is. And then it just spun off into all of these other projects, which have been a wild trip to kind of experience and be a part of. But ultimately, I'm just grateful that I got to find art there because that's kind of what pulled me out, right? So, and just showing people that you can heal differently. You don't have to do this normal. It doesn't work for everybody. Not everything works for everybody. You got to find your thing.
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of how you the book kind of basically became, is because you had to walk through your own fire, your own journey to get to where you are today, from you being so young and going overseas, serving for, which is actually really wild that you served for your country.
Yeah, I mean, I got to serve for 3 countries, and I was really stoked about that because I have a unique perspective not a lot of people get to have, like very few, unless you're an SF dude, which they get to go work with a million different countries all the time. So as somebody who had such a short stint in the military, the fact that I got to experience the British and the Americans and the Canadians and the French units, like that's just so cool to me, and I'm just so grateful for that. As shitty as it was, it's just shifting the perspective. This life is happening for you and not to you. And so when I was able to do that, that's when, you know, things could really start to elevate and change.
And how, like, diving into that, because obviously you have a book, I have read it, and now the boys
has read it.
Are interested and want to read it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to actually put this together from your own personal experience?
So I started writing before I was in my 30s. I'll be 35 this year. It took 5 years to write and then to get somebody to give an unknown a publishing deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the hardest part. The hard part wasn't writing it. People act like writing books is, if you're not writing about something with a bunch of statistics and you're just like writing about your life, anybody can do it. Stop letting people tell you they can't. You can.
Yeah.
It just takes dedication and serious commitment to the craft and to the muse and honoring that. And whether you're sitting down in front of a computer for an hour and you don't write anything, but you dedicate that hour every day to it and you're showing up to the muse, that muse will show up eventually for you. So I wrote it. And then I wrote my last 3 chapters. It was pretty much done. I wrote the 70,000 words, and then I wrote the last 3 chapters on my way back from my last medicine trip. That's why those last 3 chapters are so radically different than the rest of the book. And then in the 2021 pullout, we were able to save 9 high-ranking VIP individuals from the Afghan government that were Canadian visa holders. And through back channeling and awesome friends and not our government or yours, we were able to do some radically just life-saving stuff. So I had to add that in because I felt like it was a really good cap going from, my fighting life to the military to then coming full circle back into Afghanistan again, but going in a radically different way than I did when I went last time. So it was a really good healing opportunity. And I believe in journaling. I believe in writing, and I believe in getting things off of your chest, because a really good friend of mine, Dr. John Deloney, taught me that you can't carry everyone's bricks and you have to put the backpack down at some point. So that was me putting the backpack down.
Yeah, I mean, I love the book. It's amazing. I think you'll enjoy it.
I find Lone Survivor, I love these type of books.
I did the audiobook too, and I also did the French accents in the audio.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Give us one.
I know.
Why are you Canadian? Let's go. Give us
well,
one.
so I'll give you an example. So like my sergeant didn't speak English.
Yeah.
And so like the first day I met him, he looked at me, he was like, Gunner Burns, I do not want you here. And that was it. And then he just walked away, and I was like, all right, welcome to the show.
Right?
Well, cool.
The French are known for that. That's
Quebec.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just Quebec. It's not all
You guys
French.
are not getting it.
No, it's okay. They don't need to get it. We'll get it. We'll get it.
We're not Canadian.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's why.
And especially not French Canadian.
No.
Yeah.
They're just a different breed.
Totally different.
My dad is a Canadian immigrant.
Saskatoon.
My girlfriend,
Oh, yeah?
Maurice, former WWE superstar, is
Canadian?
French Canadian.
French Canadian.
Yeah, she speaks French. Yeah, she's amazing.
Is that why she's ruthless, I bet?
She's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Shout out
French
to
Canadians are even ruder than
they are.
regular French people.
Yeah, but that's only if you're English.
Yeah. But once you get in, you're in.
You're in. Yeah.
Once they like you, they love you.
My husband dated a French chick before me, and that's what he would say is like,
Wow.
if we went to the races with her, that I was welcome. But like, if I didn't in Quebec at the Montreal Supercross, then it wasn't. So it was like a trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I want to dive into your personal journey in the sense of your mental health to basically essentially create the book, because that's really where it kind of, I feel like, stemmed from, is that you had to walk through some fire to be healthy mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. So I'll skip over a bunch of stuff, but give you like the essence of it, because I think a lot of people have heard this story and it's kind of repetitive, and I don't want to give you the same interview I give everyone else. I think you deserve a little more.
I mean,
yeah.
I would say our listeners, for them not knowing you, nothing is repeated. Okay. So I mean, it might feel like that to you, or because it's me.
Yeah.
Because I
you already know it all.
But yeah.
Okay.
So give whatever you want to give.
Cool. So long and short, before I joined the military, I was a Taekwondo fighter and a rugby player for a long time. Super A-type personality. I met an amazing...
No, you?
Not me. That's
I couldn't tell.
Nobody.
Not even off the jump. No way. Shocker.
A-type?
Not
Shane?
even.
Oh, yeah.
Is this what they do to you too?
A+.
Thank you. Oh, see, I'm going to start using that. I'm going to start using that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I joined the military after I met a lady on the bus in 2007. We have Remembrance Day, which is called Veterans Day down here.
How old were you when you joined?
I just turned 18. My birthday's in September, so...
This is not a common place to join the military in Canada.
No.
And being 18.
One out of every, I'm going to say 1,000.
Oh, we have...
Not even. It's a small...
And then when you get combat arms roles, it just gets...
It gets more... So this is not a normal thing.
No, so I went to college in Ottawa at Algonquin.
Yeah,
and I
went to Algonquin.
No, you didn't.
Algonquin College. Yes, I played hockey in Algonquin, the Cavs.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went to school right there. Yes.
Yeah, so I went to Algonquin for like 2 months.
Yes. Same.
Yes.
I partied in Hull. I was at Broad Street.
Oh my
I
God.
was the bouncer at Broad Street.
I wish we would.
in Hull,
I'm
Quebec.
so happy right now.
Yeah.
This is, yeah, because it's right there.
What a,
And
yeah.
18.
Well, now it's dead because everything's
yeah.
open till 4. But
That's right.
Back in the olden days, Ottawa would close out at 1, and Quebec stayed open till 3.
And you could drink at 18.
And you could
in
drink
Quebec.
at 18 in Quebec.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was a doorman at the best bar in the best bar in the like it was
Such a
crazy.
trip.
Really?
What a
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Couldn't you drink at 18 in like
Canada.
19.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, that's
19.
19. huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I met this lady after the Remembrance Day ceremony, and she was just an old veteran, and she had a bunch of medals. And it's like that moment where you have these,
Wow.
you kind of have these, like, if you look back at your life and you can plot charts, and she was a big catalyst for me. And I got off the bus and I quit college, and then I went to the recruiter's office right across from the mall. You know, when you go up into the mall, downtown Ottawa, and then
Yeah.
like down there on the right-hand side, there's a
Wait a
recruiter's
second. We
office.
got all the shawarmas and the pinball places.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's on the right-hand side.
Okay. Yes, I know. Wow, I love Ottawa.
Yeah.
I love Ottawa.
Whoa.
We're
What a
having
time
a,
in
We're
your
having
life.
a moment.
We're
You're having
having
a
a moment.
Canadian moment.
This is
This
good
amazing.
times for Shane.
Yeah, it
What a
is. This
time!
is
I
great.
forgot about my 5 years
dude,
in
I'm
Ottawa.
just
Yeah,
bringing
you-
you down.
Wow.
memory lane.
Totally. Shane just lit up. You just brought back some
What a
good
day, what
memories.
days. You
Hey.
know, you're 20, you're 18,
Yeah,
20.
yeah,
in
it's a
Ottawa.
trip there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
trip.
Well, see, and that's the thing too, right? It's not about what you say; it's how you make people feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
like some good feelings.
Good. I'm really glad. So I joined the Army. They told me I'd be sworn in right away. We were actively rotating at the time. Canada joined Afghanistan, I think it was like 06. I think 06, 05, 06, 07. I don't remember exactly which one it was because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And they told me that depending on the trade I picked, I would be deploying right away. And I was like, okay, cool. Again, I have nothing else going on.
What are your family saying to all of this?
Oh, I didn't tell them. I was a grown adult at that point. Don't you remember?
Don't you know?
Yeah, don't you know? And so I went and I joined artillery. They said it was too small for infantry, so then they sent me to artillery, which
Yeah,
is
because how tall are you?
5 foot
She's a little, but
Spitfire.
something.
yeah.
So I end up getting in really quick. I got sworn in December. I went to basic training like the very beginning of January. Did all my trades training. Did everything that year. Then I got posted in September when I turned 19 to Valcartier, Quebec. So I went to a French unit. I didn't speak French yet, but I only went there because I was given an opportunity. A guy that was training with me, his kid, he was so hard on the sauce, so hard on gear, so hard on everything. When he was lifting, he was destroying his kidneys. So when we went and did training and it was really hot, his kidneys shut down and he was supposed to deploy with that unit. So we traded posting. So he went to PET, I went to Val, and then I was on the next rotation with them. So all Christmas we did workup training. We went to Alberta, we went to Wainwright for workup, then we came down to Texas to shoot live, and then we got a break, and then we deployed. So I did like 1 year of training, and then I was posted, and then we left. And then I got to learn all the weapon systems in French and all the guns, and then I got to do the remote weapon systems for the gunners for the tanks. So I got to also sit in the tanks with like the video game machine gun and be like the gunner for that. So that was fun. And then we deployed. And once we deployed, everything was good. We went to CAF, and then we went to the FOB, and we were with an American FOB. So we were supporting the 101st on our 777s there, which was kind of just such a cool experience to get to see another nation work. And I was the only one that spoke a lot of English except for some of the officers. So I spoke to the Americans, and the Americans had a really good relationship with the Canadians that were there before. But then once we got there, our guys drew a line in the sand. It was like, you're not allowed over here. Because a lot of our guys didn't speak English at all. And so it wasn't vibing. So after that, I was with them for a while. We were shooting rounds downrange. And then I got a call that I was going to get picked up and I was going to go with the British. So the British needed a female searcher. So America started putting women on the front lines in combat arms roles. I believe it was 15. And they started calling them CSTs, cultural support teams. So a friend of mine, Jax, she's a special forces warrant officer. She was a CST. So I can't say CST because we didn't have a title yet.
Okay.
So I was what we call a female searcher. We didn't have a role yet. So I got picked up. I went with the British, which were the Black Watch and the 3rd Scot Battalion from Scotland, and the mix of everyone else in the British military. And we went outside the wire. And my job was to kick the doors in, take the women and kids into another room and search them. And it
And
just
explain for people that don't know anything military-wise.
Okay.
Outside the wire.
So there's a safe spot you have in Afghanistan called CAF and the FOBs, which are technically safe, meaning they'll attack it, but that's where you are. That's your home. That's your base. That's where you stay. And so for me, when we went to the fob, we had a tiny fob, and we always had people on the towers, and you're always watching. But everyone outside of there, hypothetically, wants to kill you, or at least that's what we're told.
Yeah.
So we went outside the wire, meaning my job was supposed to stay inside the fobs and shoot the artillery guns, but then I got pulled out. And it was a weird situation. And when people are like, well, that doesn't happen. Well, it did to a couple of us. And it was weird. And none of us really knew how to do our jobs, but we just did. So we would stack on a house. The Brits would kick it in. They would go in and they would say, women and kids are here, pull her up. And then I would go up and then I would put them all into a room together. And then I put a Brit at the door and an interpreter at the door. And then I would go in and search anybody that was in that room. And
That's a female.
yeah, or kids under the age of 12, even if they're little boys. That's just kind of how their line was drawn. And so there'd be a lot of children. It was very strange. And anyway, that operation went super sideways, really bad. We lost a lot of friends. It was just constant firefights, and it was a very uncomfortable situation to be in that I was not trained for. And so I got a 30-minute crash course right before we went outside the wire by the RCMP about what I could legally do, what I couldn't do, and then I was given zap straps and a pair of gloves. And then I went with the Brits. And so I was given,
What are zap straps?
you know, like zip ties.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because so like you can't put a bag over the head, but you can tie their eyes. You can't like duct tape their hands, but you can zap strap them. It's just a control tactic if things
Sure.
are getting dicey.
Yeah.
And so just figured that out, went out, did the whole operation, went sideways, didn't do well psychologically. And then after that, I came back and I was separated from that unit and I was put back with my guys. And that's when everything started to go really wrong. I got diagnosed with, at first it was acute post-traumatic stress disorder. Then they put me on 11 different drugs. Then they sent me back out to the machine guns and the 777s. Didn't tell my staff I was drugged up out of my mind. And then after that, things got dicey there. They sent me back to CAF, fully diagnosed me and told me, and all in that time frame, I had gone on my HLTA, which is your holiday break that you get on deployment. So I left Afghanistan, drugged out of my tree, flew all the way to the Dominican Republic, hung out with my mom for 3 weeks, drank my face stupid. At the time, we were losing Canadians while I was gone. So I was angry and I just wanted to go back. And it was the worst situation that they could have done. I flew back to Afghanistan, went back out on the guns, was there, and then they're like, yeah, you're going home 3 weeks early before everyone else. So then they ripped me away from any support network, didn't tell anybody anything that was happening, didn't let me talk to anyone that I needed to kind of get help from, except for a doctor that was just writing scripts. And then they sent me home. And so I went home and went to my unit and sent my RSM the paperwork. And he goes, yeah, you're going to Ottawa. You're done. You're going to the hospital. And so I never saw my unit again. I never spoke to anyone again. No one knew where I went. And then I was dropped off in Ottawa by myself. And then the military didn't call for 6 months. And in that time frame, I just started fucking off. I started traveling. I went to Cuba. I started drinking my face stupid. I was on all these drugs. I attacked a family in a Walmart. Like, I don't remember a significant amount of my 20s.
Wait, so were you discharged? Like,
No. They just didn't call.
wow. So basically, they just took it where like, she probably saw too much or couldn't, or has a lot of trauma from that mission that went sideways. Meaning, like, you know, obviously, people lost their lives and shit was just chaotic. We don't want to deal with.
Yeah, I was diagnosed in country. I was like given a full diagnosis in country. And then my major threw all my paperwork at me and said it would have been a lot easier if I just died, because then it would have been way less paperwork to deal with. And it's funny because now he's been booted out for sexually assaulting several women because he's a piece of shit human. And so it's
And what they diagnosed you with?
post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, an undiagnosed traumatic brain injury, and then treatment-resistant depression.
Treatment-resistant depression. What is that?
So treatment-resistant depression comes into play when you've tried every medication, every treatment option available, and things still aren't getting better. So to just bring that forward for a second, in Canada, we have this thing called the Special Access Program, and it's normally for terminally ill patients or people who are treatment resistant. And they brought that new label in, meaning if you were so severe, you could get access to drugs that were not regulated by the FDA yet and hadn't gone through full clinical trials, but you were willing to do it, so they're gonna let you do it. So I am one of 160 Canadians that has legal regulated access to psilocybin, and I did the first macro-dosed synthetic psilocybin treatment last year with it, and it was wild. But treatment-resistant depression, all of these labels are bullshit. Every single one of them is garbage. And I'll tell you why. Because all they do, like I said to you before, is they allow you to latch to an idea, an identity, and then you become that identity, and then you live that identity day in and day out. I am my PTSD. I am my TBI. I am major depressive disorder. I am. You are spelling it into existence. I am not any of those things. I am a person who went to war at a young age who didn't know what the hell was happening and was given no support when I came back. Full stop. End of conversation. That's it. That's all I am. I'm not those labels. And anybody who says they are, I am this, I am that. No, you are not. It happened. It was a part of your life, but it is not who you are. So stop acting like it is. It's keeping that 1 foot in the past and the 1 foot in the present. I can promise you, after 15 years of trying to figure this out, you're never going to go that way if you keep looking in the rearview mirror. It's just the harsh truth. And so in that time frame, I spent up till 2015 just insanely suicidal. Constantly had to be like just monitored and watched. I was on all of these drugs. And then at that point, my doctor suggested art therapy, which was the most obnoxious thing I had ever heard.
I would feel the same way about art therapy.
Right?
Yeah.
You think it's got this connotation and attachment. It's like, oh, it's like we're going to color.
Yeah.
We're going to paint, water paints.
And
It's
draw.
not. I took a bunch of casings from some sniper friends of mine, and I started building jewelry on the kitchen table. But the day that I stopped feeling suicidal was the day that I sat down at the desk and I was working on a piece of product. And it was the first day that I literally went from that morning to that evening without wanting to kill myself. So I knew there was some magic in this, whether it was separation, whether it was a purpose. You can look at the multifacets of it, but it worked. And so we leaned into that. And once I started to do those things, I started to realize I didn't want to be on these medications anymore. They were killing me, not helping me. I was not healing.
Yeah.
I was stuck. So then, anyway, long and short, I started this company on my kitchen table in 2016, and it was called Her Wearables. And then I took it to Vegas, and I, serendipitously met a bunch of people who got me in touch with the right people. And then next thing you know, I was meeting with Kevin Hart, and then I was meeting with Ellen, and then I was on all these celebrities, and then the brand just kind of did its own thing. And so we donate 20% of the net proceeds to different veteran organizations all over the world. And that is my way of putting the money in the hands of these organizations that are doing the boots on the ground hard work, because I can't run a nonprofit.
Yeah.
I don't want to run a nonprofit. No. I know how bad it is to run a nonprofit.
Yeah.
That's not my shtick. I know where I can help, and I know where I can be purpose filled. So that's how Brass and Unity came about. And then I started writing, and that wasn't because somebody was like, oh, you should write a book. It was I was using the tool of writing. And then somebody heard the story and was like, why don't you write a book? And then I thought to myself, why don't I write a book? Every other special operator is doing it. There hasn't been that many from women, so we might as well shoot for it. So I did. I wrote it. And then all within that time happening, I started the show, wrote the book, got the deal, and it came out last year. It came out in July last year, and it did quite well. It is doing really well right now, and I'm just really proud of it. Yeah, it's just been a whirlwind, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, just the realm of having to go through figuring out what is going to work for you, because obviously medication is always one of those things I feel like is the easiest. I know for me personally, when I was going through all my nonsense, immediately I wanted a quick fix.
Right.
Fix me. I'm not well. I want a pill. That's just my go-to answer, because, it's very easy to do and it's accessible, and you think that it is all of a sudden going to cure everything, and that's just not the case.
And the thing with medication in particular, so what doctors will say is, we're doing it temporarily to get you balanced so that you can hear what we're saying. But what it really does is destroy your gut biome, when we know that over 70 to 90% of your serotonin comes from that. It wreaks havoc on your libido system. So if you're younger, it will literally destroy your sex drive like nobody's business. And then it drastically affects your brain's ability and the neuroplasticity to heal. And we also understand that all you have to do is move. It is 2 times more effective if you just move your body versus taking an antidepressant. But the problem is, and I understand when people say, but I can't get out of bed. Listen, I couldn't get out of bed. Mm-hmm. And if I took a step out of bed that day, it was a win. But you have to start somewhere. And so you don't have to reach for the pill, but doctors will make the case for, if we can get them stable, then we can get them thinking. But that's not the truth. That gets them stable to make you feel safer about the client. That's more about you than it is the client. If you really want that client to do well, then you show up at that door and you get them out of that bed and you get them into the sun. You get them eating better food. You get them drinking water and turning the fucking news off. This stuff is not rocket science, but it's effort-based.
Yeah.
All of it's effort-based.
Actionable steps.
That's it. It's not difficult. So the transition for me, at least in the past couple of years, has been pretty radical in that I got off of the pharmaceutical drugs by using ayahuasca, and that was a massive catalyst point for me. And then from that, I was able to integrate well enough that I could see where I needed to go. I could see the steps I needed to take, and I was willing to go down that route. And people will squawk at psychedelics, but you know, the thing that is so beautiful about psychedelics, the research speaks for itself. We didn't have the research 10 years ago. There's a reason why there was a war on drugs that had nothing to do with psychedelics. It had absolutely nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with the mind opening and healing substances that come from the plants. That's it. And so they will remove those when they want to control a society and a population. And that's exactly what happened. People started to become free thinkers and open their minds and go, Vietnam doesn't need to be happening, because it didn't, because it was a setup, just the same way Iraq was, just the same way Afghanistan was, because they all are, because war's a racket and everyone knows it. So the thing that I find fascinating is when you can use a healing modality, not rely on the healing modality, but understand that it is a catalyst and the next steps are a choice. Meaning, I use this, I integrate this, and now I take the lessons from this and I move forward. I don't continually keep going unless it's necessary. And so once I did that, I'd never gone back on a pharmaceutical drug. I barely use Tylenol. If I'm lucky, if I'm breaking down, I'll take a Tylenol, but even then it's rare. And then I became a psychedelic integration coach and a coach. Wow. And I work with clients now in addiction. I work with clients in post-traumatic stress. I work with clients who are CEOs and are like, my life is stuck. I'm like, no, you just have no balance with your family and you think your work only matters. So here's the gaps in your holes and let's fix those. So that's what I do now. I coach, I speak, and I work with clients. And my whole mission is to just literally, I've walked through the dark by myself. I've gotten to the light. Now is my obligation to turn around and go right back in and start pulling people out. Because what the hell was it all for if not?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel in the same sense, like even though, you don't have like a substance abuse problem, it's basically kind of in the same realm of working a 12-step recovery program.
It's identical.
It is. It's like you have to be, it all requires effort. Mm-hmm. It all requires actionable steps daily. You're writing, you're self-reflecting, and then ultimately you get to step 12, and now to keep what has so freely been given to you, now it's your time to give to others and be acts of service.
Yeah, so, and I'll push back on a couple points there. Nobody gave this to me. I gave this to me. I gave this to me. I and my connection to God gave this to me. No one gave this to me. I gave this to me. I make the choice every day to get up and go, are we doing this today? We're going to be a lazy bitch.
Actionable steps.
Actionable steps. So that, and then the other thing that's really wild is like the 12-step program is only 95% complete. It started with psychedelics, baby. LSD. He started it and designed with psychedelics until they got wiped off the face of the earth. Because what happens with psychedelics, which is really profound, like I have some
explain experience, like explain your first process in doing
ayahuasca,
this form.
Or because I'm like, there's a million different psychedelics we could go into, but I want to talk about ibogaine for a second first, because this will pertain to your community in a massive way. So ibogaine is insane when it comes to addiction. It's unbelievable because it literally changes your brain chemistry, and it allows parts of your brain, the way that ibogaine works is that it binds to the receptors of like the same addictive behavior. And it allows people to not only go in and experience their life in the medicine in a setting with doctors in a safe setting with also integration brought in. And it gives them an opportunity. And we're seeing such insane amounts of recovery from people that were addicts for 10, 20, 30 years. And then all of a sudden they do ibogaine for 1 week. That's it. Never go back. I had a client who I know very personally, like friends, family personally, opioid, like all of our 20s. He was in our wedding. Like this guy's a master manipulator when he was like using. And they had every dollar he had done inpatient, outpatient. He had done the highest end ones in Malibu, all the way to the lowest end ones. He's worked the steps. He's done the things. Just couldn't stop. We sent him to Mexico. He did Ibogaine. He has been the longest stretch he's ever been clean. It's been it's been a year.
Wow.
It's been a year. So Ibogaine works in conjunction with addiction like unlike we've ever seen. Now, ayahuasca, what I use, is different than Ibogaine. So ayahuasca is a plant medicine. It's the chacruna leaf, and it is the ayahuasca vine, and they're brewed together in a tea, and they're done over prayer. And it's got to be safe, set, and setting, but the most important component of this is not the medicine, in my opinion. It is the integration. So the preparation on the front end and the solidifying and the regrounding you back in reality on the back end. And when you don't have those, you're just doing a trip. That's it. Because what are you learning? You have to integrate the tools and the lessons that have been given to you. And so ayahuasca for me, I did it. The first time I did it was in the United States, which is highly illegal. So I'm not going to tell you where, and I'm not going to tell you who I did it with. But I will say that it was the biggest catalyst point. It was the hardest 3 days of my entire existence outside of being in war, because it was war. And it was aggressive and violent. And everyone thinks that when you go do these medicines, it's just like a trip and you hang out. That's not at all what it is.
Yeah.
You get everything you need and nothing more. And you don't get to choose what you get. The medicine knows. And so you honor that. And so after I did that medicine, it was the biggest changing point in my life, and it saved my life. And the beautiful thing was it allowed me to work through what I call, because I'm a recovering Catholic, because that's how I say it. And it allowed me to work on that side of myself, the spirituality side, the side that I was like shoved down my throat as a child that never made sense to me, never sat with me, never resonated with me, nothing. It just, nothing about it. It was up, down, take the communion, wear the white dress. You're going to hell if you have tattoos. You're going to hell if you have piercings. You're going to hell if you believe this. It was just this indoctrination as a young child of just really heaviness there was no love in it. There wasn't. And so I had to find my way back to spirituality and my way back to God and my way back to what was in alignment with me. And medicine was that one of those biggest catalysts, eye-opening. You don't have to attach yourself to what, the church does, because that's the thing I don't forgive. But that's none of my business though either, right? But once I was able to change my relationship with that using medicine, my whole life has come into alignment massively. And I'm not the person who goes and sits every couple of months in the jungle. I'm like, you call, I go. I haven't been in 2 years, and I don't feel a need to go. And so this isn't like a thing where you just keep doing, and people do, right? They find another addiction or another attachment or another, whatever you want to call it. And so that was ayahuasca for me. Now there's other psychedelics that are out there that are readily available, like ketamine. I have said it publicly, I don't love ketamine. I don't love it. I think it's dangerous because you can do it in your home by yourself, which we saw. It can work magic for a lot of people in depression. For major depressive disorder, it works incredibly well, especially people that are really stuck in that. But ultimately, it's a sedative and a dissociative. Plant medicine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, cannabis, because cannabis is a master plant when used properly. Tobacco, same thing. They go inside. So they force you to go inward and face it. Ketamine does this, dissociates. And so I know people who I've had 60 sessions with ketamine. You shouldn't need 60 sessions with ketamine. You shouldn't. I'm sorry. Are you doing integration? No? Okay. Well, now you're just having a trip.
Yeah.
Plus, the people I know that truly are in medicine, they don't need more of it. They actually need less of it. And the way ayahuasca really was people didn't drink. Only the healers drank. That's how it starts, right? And I've been in ceremonies both where I've drank and have not drank. And I'm telling you, when you are really in alignment and you're working on it, it's like sitting with God even without the medicine in your system. Because it's not about that. When they're in it, you know that they're channeling and you can feel it. In the Icaros, they sing at your face, and the prayers they put over your body. It is unlike any experience that anybody will ever have. But safe, set, and setting, intention, integration. And if you're not doing all the pillars, then you're just going on a trip.
Yeah.
I'm not for that at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
And in the end, we're trailing back to what? What are we trailing back to? God and
Always.
helping other people.
That's
I
it.
mean,
It's
that's it.
purpose.
Those two things. That's it. And everybody we've had sit in this chair, including whatever. You want to be happy once you've done ayahuasca or your ketamine, or you found your way.
Right.
You can get off of the couch, get to the gym,
Right.
make yourself useful. God and helping people.
I think 100%. Like if you don't have a spiritual connection to a higher power to your understanding, you are doomed. You are not going to be okay, regardless of. I feel in my personal experience, is it always resorts back to having that spiritual connection is imperative for your mental health and for your your trajectory of your life. When it comes to, because I am not very versed in like ibogaine or ayahuasca, or I mean I obviously, and like ketamine and things of that nature. However, I do know that these are substances because they are drugs where,
They're not drugs.
well,
They're not classified as drugs.
kind of, because
Nope,
you can
they're not
overdo it. You
classified.
shouldn't be doing ketamine at your house.
But ketamine's not a psychedelic. It's not a classic psychedelic.
And I don't feel like doing anything excessively would be okay. So to me, that's
so
a
ketamine's
drug.
yeah, but ketamine's legal. It's pharmaceutically prescribed.
But you did just say that ketamine, people are taking it to an extreme and doing it on themselves.
Well,
like,
look at Matthew Perry.
They shouldn't be.
They
Right,
shouldn't,
that's what I
but they
mean.
shouldn't be.
But I think in
ketamine
every-
ketamine should only be done in a doctor's office.
Yes.
With
With-
a
with-
integration
with-
specialist.
but
or
just
psychiatrist.
saying the same goes with like doing ayahuasca and ibogaine. All of those things should be done, like you said. The setting has to be
it's imperative.
yes, or else you're just doing a drug, or
Well,
you're just doing a substance, or you're just doing a plant
So ibogaine
and going on a trip.
Yeah, so ibogaine in particular is interesting because it has to be done in a medical setting and you have to have your heart on leads. It's really hard on your heart. Like it's really, really hard. It's done in a medical setting. You're always monitored constantly. And it's not like a traditional psychedelic. Like a classic psychedelic is things like ayahuasca, psilocybin, cannabis. When you start to play with the chemical compounds like 5-MeO, DMT, or ibogaine, or ketamine, or MDMA or LSD. Those are chemical compounds, right? And so the research has, when you do these as well, people will go party with MDMA, like Molly, they'll go party with all of that. And that's all one thing. But when you're using pharmaceutical grade MDMA, we're not talking about the same thing. Just the same way tobacco is a psychedelic, right? But people don't use it as that. It got bastardized in America and put into cigarettes. So now people think tobacco's this dirty thing. When if you've ever sat with tobacco in a ceremonial setting, I'm telling you right now, it is in goddamn insane how powerful it is. But same with cannabis. Cannabis is a master plant, but people don't use it as that. And then they wonder why. They're like, well, people go crazy after cannabis. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't know how to integrate it, and they're using it in the wrong setting. Same with if you can't just use ayahuasca. People are like, oh, like backyard shamans. That's the problem we're having right now. A lot of people are like, I'm a shaman. I can serve you. No, you can't. Are you part of the Shipibo tribe? Are you part of the Kutanawa? Have you sat with the medicine for years and years and years and years and learned what happens when you're in this? No, you haven't. So there is that problem right now where you're getting that decriminalization of certain psychedelics because you are seeing therapeutic use being it's undeniable at this point. Johns Hopkins, Imperial School of London, you name the university, the research that is there, it's like over high, almost in the 90s of remission of post-traumatic stress disorder we're seeing. Anya Science is doing a ton of research in this as well. And then you've got Heroic Hearts Project. So all of these organizations are strictly backed by research-based information through major universities, which doesn't mean anything anymore because these universities aren't great. But from the actual clinical setting and the clinical testing, it's not even comparable. They used to say that SSRIs were safe.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what we're finding out now. So all that you can do is trust in what you're doing and who you're doing these things with and what your intention is to do them. But they are plant medicines. They are not drugs. SSRIs are drugs. Ketamine is a drug. Cannabis is not a drug. Psilocybin is not a drug. Ayahuasca is not a drug. They are a plant medicine. And a plant medicine, when used in the right setting, will save people's lives. And that's why we are seeing the people that do have addictive behavior, the people that do struggle with major depressive disorder and all of these other ailments that are plaguing people because our society is so detached from what it means to be a human being anymore, those are bringing themselves back into alignment. People speak of not necessarily these mystical experiences, but they speak of being with God. They speak of being connected to one. They speak of saying, oh, the trees are us and that person is us and this people, we are all one. And so all it's doing is it's healing moral injuries. It's healing injuries and childhood traumas that have been neglected for decades. And part of the thing with other programs, and they're all fine, but they are a solution to a certain point, but when you're not going to get to the root, meaning I know people who, it was really funny when I talked to that individual. I'm like, why do you think you started using opioids? I always wanted my dad's approval. I never got it. Okay, so now we're cooking with gas here. Now we know where we need to go. We need to go inward and we need to go heal that moral injury. We need to show that little boy at that moment when it happened that he is loved and that he is safe and that he's always been wanted. And sometimes it just takes looking at your child and saying, I love you. Because a lot of kids I've found out recently, which blows my mind, were never told I love you. What? That's insane. The amount of friends I have where their moral injury isn't war, they're 19 tours, they're 20 tours.
Oh, for sure. It always stems from something that is like a childhood and having to revisit all of whatever, whether it's real or not.
Mm-hmm. I had a guy on the show a couple weeks ago who's sober. He's been a sober coach now for a long, long time. And we talked about, I'm like, what was the moment of the injury? He goes, I was 3. I got raped by my bus driver.
Oh my God.
And I was like, but you know where that was? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, that's what apparently my soul needed in this life. Because then it gave me an opportunity to grow. Like everything that happened to me has been an opportunity.
For sure.
A huge one, a massive lesson. It just gave me something to overcome. It gave me something to beat. Now, for some people, that will be the thing that kills them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just how you face it. It's all perspective, and it's how you perceive the world. And a lot of times our injuries make us think the world is this really dark, bad place. It's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Our phones make us think that everything is bad and everything's exploding. Sure. But there's always been war. There's always been violence. There's been all of this always.
Yeah.
It's how you choose to perceive it. That's it.
I mean, our phones. I mean, we could go down dark holes.
My phone's bright, man.
Mine is too.
My algorithm is
dialed,
just
but I
it's
feel
dialed
like,
in for love and happiness.
I feel like though, but
leadership and
yeah, because we are cognizant in making sure that we're not going down the rabbit hole. So therefore, our phone is for the proper tool because it could go the opposite. You could. It's which one do you want to feed? Do you want to feed the good or the bad? Well, I know that I can feed the bad. Right. I can go down that. I know that I can.
Yeah.
I'm very aware, but I make a conscious decision to make sure that the things that pop up on my algorithm are like Bible verses,
right?
Motivation, people killing their workouts,
right?
Things of that nature where it's sprinkling in the good.
And that's the thing I see with most clients, to be completely honest with you. It's not, this isn't difficult. Most clients, all that you have to do is get them, like the finish line is awareness. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. They just need to become consciously aware of their behaviors.
So me, I'm not for or against the psychedelic medications.
I don't know enough about psychedelic medications to really make a actual like.
I don't tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do or shouldn't believe, except I'm really with you on I'm not for pharmaceutical medications. Yeah. There are some that are you may need to keep you alive for a period of time, but there are other ways. Yeah. And see, the pharmaceutical companies don't like that.
No, they hate it.
They don't like that at all, and they're powerful. Like,
terrifyingly
powerful. Like I can quote all kinds of studies from all these universities about pharmaceutical drugs and how good they are. Right. But then I go back and look and see who funded
exactly
that study.
Totally.
And that right there, in my opinion, makes it null and void.
That's the problem. Yes.
I'm pretty sure pharmaceutical companies don't. I do know that, and so I do take it back a little bit because we do ketamine treatments on on some of the people here in the proper setting.
Right.
And I have seen tremendous healing from those treatments.
Yeah.
So,
But once again, it's in a.
But it's in the
super-
setting
it always has to be in the right setting.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not for like, passing laws in America that, psychedelics are just legal, because then everybody's microdosing every day, but really they're dosing. They're not microdosing.
Well, because they don't know, right? And that's part of the problem is people fear the things they don't understand.
And they're just going in for a head change.
That's right.
You
And
know?
they don't know
So
what
that's
has to happen
a big
with
difference.
it. Exactly. They don't know what has to happen after. Like, I'll give you an example. So the brain treatment clinic I went to in Texas, which you need to still go meet.
Yeah.
Now, I've had this conversation with them before, right? I've seen a client use ketamine in a room by himself. And then I've been in a room when you can stop somebody from going in the hole
Yeah.
by having the right person there that knows how to say the right thing in the right time, and then knows how to bring them back down into reality and ground them in that. And that's what the integration piece is. And if you're not doing the integration on the front end, and that's your diet includes what you watch, what you eat, what you drink, and who you're around.
Thanks for saying what you watch and what you listen to.
It's everything.
It is.
It's everything.
You're the sum of the 5 everythings.
Yeah.
Podcast, music, people, food, your environment. You can't take a fish out of a fish tank and put it back into a dirty fish tank.
No, you
Yeah.
can't.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So
No.
if you're not giving them integration on the front end with an intention going into the medicine, we've seen people do not well, blow up families, divorce people immediately. And so that's why you have to grab people as soon as they get back, or whenever they're like, for example, I work with the Heroic Hearts Project. That's who I'm a psychedelic integration coach for. And when we send people to either Peru or to Mexico or to Oregon, which we ran the very first legal psilocybin retreat with veterans, and it was massively successful. And it was the first one that was done in the United States. You have to get them, if they come back on Sunday, you're talking on Monday. You're talking on Monday for sure. No major life decisions. We don't allow that because oh boy, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're divorced. House is gone,
Divorcing my wife today, and I'm selling my home,
and that's it. I'm moving to the
and
woods,
I'm moving to the fucking woods.
and I'm growing a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like ketamine works magic with neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Magic.
So, I believe in the resetting of the receptors.
Yeah.
You've got to reset those receptors. You got to change. You've got to rewire, remap your brain, and and other tools work too as well. I chose the path of like being completely clean and sober, because I was a mess otherwise, and
Right.
These options probably weren't even available when I decided to do this type of stuff. And I have a lot of childhood trauma and all of that stuff. But my point is that I would hope that this stuff gets you to the point where you've healed your brain, and then you don't need stuff.
Well, I'm glad you said healed your brain, right? Because here's the other thing we don't pay attention to. So this can give you a concussion.
Yeah.
That right there. That's all it takes. You don't have to hit your head. Your brain has to smack your skull inside of your head. And what happens when we have head injury? Our frontal lobe doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what happens when our frontal lobe doesn't work?
You make bad decisions.
You have no governor.
You make impulsive decisions. So whatever this primal part is thinking about, you go.
That's right.
It's go time.
You have no governor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's why when you're like, I hear you say this, like, I have to go to AA. I have to go. You have to go right now. Because that brain of yours, girl, needs some love. Because once you're able to work on that, you can make decisions.
Totally.
But you can't make decisions when the biggest thing in your body is damaged.
Yeah.
You used to ask me, I love, this is my favorite example. Brady'd be like, we're going on a trip. And I would break down into tears, into a ball, and curl up into myself. Do you know why? I couldn't pack. Because I couldn't make a decision. I couldn't. If you said, Kelsie, red shirt, blue shirt, fucking meltdown, into a ball, into the hole. That was it. Day's done. I could not make a decision. And I ran a business that way. And I'm telling you, it's not a good way to do it. But you can't be decisive. You can't, you're impulsive. You have no emotional regulator. You have no emotional switches. When your frontal lobe is dormant in the brain, everything, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. It is not going to respond the way it should. That's why I did brain treatment. And that was out of everything I did. Every week I was in therapy. Every week I was with the top doctor in Canada who was a Bosnia-Rwanda veteran, who was a medic, who did the very first research on PTSD post-Rwanda during the genocide. This man knows how to treat vets. In 40 years, he's never had a suicide. Not one. And so when he said, we got to a point, we hit a plateau. And I said, I don't know what else to do, but I got nothing here. I don't know about you. I don't know what do we do now? And that's when the medicine was offered. And he said, I don't know much about it, but I'm going to trust in you that you know where you're going, because we don't have another answer. But then we found out I had an undiagnosed traumatic brain injury. And okay, so now we understand 11 of the 13 symptoms of PTSD and TBI overlap. So we're putting the cart before the horse. So the military missed it. Shocker. So once I healed the brain injury, and that's a lot of work to do that's like a daily practice. Like how you sit down and pray, I work on my brain and I pray because it needs a combination of stuff. But once you're able to get that firing again, at first it's a little bit painful because it starts working and you can feel things moving, which is a trip.
How do you work on it?
So at Resiliency in Dallas, so they do 2-week intensive program. They keep civilians separate from veterans. There's a reason why. They treat Delta, Rangers, SEALs, you name it. They treated my husband, but they do everything from a massive, like one of the biggest blood work panels you'll ever see, where they look at your genetic markers and they look at your markers and they look at what's going on in your body. They switch your diet over to be eating for your blood type, because if you want your inflammation to be low, you need to start eating for what works with your body, not what you enjoy eating.
Ice cream. Oh, sorry.
Right? The sugar.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they start working on your vestibular system, and they start working on the internals and how the brain interacts with the rest of the world. And they have a multitude of tools to do that. It is exhausting, and it seems silly because they'll give you a stick and they'll be like, we're going to look at this stick for your vestibular system and we're going to go like this. And that's what we're going to do. And if you do more than the allotted time, they'll blow you out, meaning you'll wake up crying and screaming in so much agony because your brain is turning on. Mm-hmm. And once you do that and you get to the other side of that, things change. They make a joke. The last week, right on the Wednesday, like clockwork, everyone will have gone shopping and either bought a new pair of shoes or a new sweater, but nothing like they normally would have. Guess what happened to me that Wednesday? I went and bought a pink sweater. What? Like clockwork, because they know the method to the madness to turn it on. And I have seen people walk out of there and not be at all the same when they leave because their brain is working again. I saw it with my husband. It saved his life. So when you heal the body to the extent in which we understand the brain, which is as much as we do now, is more than we did 10 years ago, that's when you can start working on the other things that are around it. It's just the symptom. It's just a symptom. Then you have people like Dr. Mark Gordon who don't believe that PTSD is real. It is an inflammatory disease. He's been on Rogan and he's talked about it like 8 times. He's one of my doctors. The guy's a trip. The guy's that guy's a trip. But I'll tell you right now, I understand what he's saying. Mm-hmm. He forgets the traumatic event side of it. But from a chemical imbalance in the brain itself, that guy works magic because he understands that when you have high inflammation in the brain, your body and your brain are not going to function. They're not going to absorb. They're not going to take on what needs to be taken on, meaning if you're giving it supplements and these things, it's not absorbing it. It's not doing what it needs to do. But there are ways for you to work with that and do that. And he has this incredible blood test that takes a look at where everything is, because our doctors, they look line by line.
Yeah.
Right? So he has an AI program that does this magical stuff. And they've actually diagnosed people with things that they had no idea was going on. Tumors, wild stuff. So my point is if you can take the thing that we don't understand, which is under the hood, in the brain, in the body, in the chemical imbalances, and you can work on those first, it makes everything else much easier after that. And it just makes your life it kind of takes the blinders off, and then you can really start to get to work. Because it's really just the start, right? Just like anything else. It's just the catalyst. Now it's what you choose to do with it after that. That is really what your life is going to look like after.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings me back. I mean, I got my brain scanned by Dr. Amen. And my good old frontal lobe, no bueno.
I could have told you that before that. We talked about it, and I said that to you before that scan.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were doing that scan. That's amazing that you got to do that.
So I got to see a beautiful photo of non-working frontal lobe, but
that man's great. I'd like to interview him. He's interesting.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, and now I take a supplement that actually provides blood flow to your frontal lobe. You know.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I think that's also too what I think that people forget is that there is not whether it's every person is going to need something different individually.
1,000%.
And what isn't emphasized, I think, enough is that whatever you may find, like you found you started and you ended up with ayahuasca, right? And then it continued on your journey of getting well. However, what really is the main component is that one thing is not going to fix anything. It's a constant motherfucking grind daily for yourself that you have to continuously put in that effort of, are you sleeping enough? What food are you eating? Like all of the things that people don't want to hear because it's all effort and requires work. And it takes discipline to stay at it so that the beast, my inner beast, doesn't take me out. And it's a daily thing. That's why, like in the program, you know, you have a daily reprieve. It's every day. We have this 24 hours that you have to maintain so that you can be, you know, your best. Right. It's not that you can go on an ayahuasca journey and think like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then when I get back to my normal, like day in and day out life, everything's going to be amazing. No. It's like, yeah, no, you're just opening up the first phase, the first step. And then you have to do all of the required effort and steps that go along with that. Right.
And that's the other thing too, right? When you get home, that's when the challenges are going to show
exactly.
up. Intentionally. Like the medicine will make sure.
Dude, when you leave treatment, that's when motherfucking life happens again.
That's right.
That's what people forget. I mean, it happened to me. Yeah. And once you leave the bubble, that's when the real true work has to start because you are now back in the real world. When you go away to treatment, you learn some tools. Right. You are able to remove the substance. You're able to hopefully start the inner work. Start seeing what is really causing you to either pick up or use or drink. And then once you leave, now you have some tools in your toolbox. Right. Are you going to use those tools or are you going to succumb to
life?
We're
just going to set that toolbox down and do nothing.
Well, because it's easy.
Exactly.
It's not though. And that's where people get confused. It is not easy to do nothing because what ends up happening when you're not doing nothing is you're stuck in pain, you know? And I say this all the time on this podcast, that it's actually easier to walk through pain than it is to sit in it.
And that's what I wish people would understand.
So true.
If they just keep moving, it's really that concept of like, be a shark.
Yes.
You have to move or you die.
And like people, you know, like sharks can't stop swimming.
Or else they die.
Humans can't stop moving. Yes, we can go to sleep. Sharks can't. But they rest. I don't know how sharks rest.
No, they do. We looked it up.
We looked it up yesterday because we were on a shark thing.
We were on a shark thing.
Yeah, they don't sleep. Okay. They do not sleep.
They go into like a more of a
hibernation.
Kind of like a chill mode, but they're still moving.
They're still moving.
Yeah, it's very
It's like they're
still moving.
Yeah, because you have to, and
we have to do the same. Tony Robbins says the key to happiness is progress.
Yeah. And how do you get progress?
Move.
Exactly. Take action.
One step at a time.
I had a client panic message me yesterday. He's like, "This is really bad. Everything's really bad. It's like really, really bad." He's in New Zealand, so fuck. So I voice messaged him. I said, "Write out a list. Start tackling the list." well, I haven't done those things. Okay, write out the list, start the list. All of your anxiety is coming from inaction. You don't have to like it. That's the harsh reality.
Yeah.
But you pay me to remind you. Take action. Start moving. Be productive. And it doesn't mean that you have to solve the world's problems.
Right.
But if that means you went to the grocery store that day and you don't normally go to the grocery store, you've won. That's
Yeah.
a win.
For sure.
And we don't celebrate our wins,
Yeah.
right? We don't celebrate our wins because we don't want to make anybody else feel less than, right? That's what ends up happening. You start doing these things and then you don't relate very much anymore. I have no idea how you do it, by the way. Because you can relate to a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but hate to break it to you there, babe girl. You're out there doing some serious things. And that's much harder to turn around if you don't have the right people around you and talk about your wins. Because then you'll get that, must be nice. Bitch, it is nice. Do you know how hard I worked to get
It's
here?
nice. Yeah,
It is
it's nice to get here.
But
Wherever here is.
that's
for
right.
you.
But you have to, that comes down to like, you are the sum, right? So if you're having really negative people around you and you come back out of treatment and you're back in the fish tank again, it's going to make it so much harder than it needs to be.
I mean, all the cliches that we hear all the time are unfortunately, because it's annoying, but it's true. It's like who you surround yourself is important. Who you choose to have as a life partner is important. They will take you out of the game or into the game. You know, I'm fortunate that my parents are amazing. My family's amazing. And then obviously...
But you don't
my
actually
husband.
have to have an amazing parents to be amazing.
No, you don't.
No.
That's the stuff that I want
unfortunate.
people
No.
to also remember too, is like, you don't have to have all those amazing things. Start picking different friends now.
Yes.
That's it.
You know, start with the little things. I'm really big on wins, you know, and I'm big on wins in little baby wins, like small ones, like you committed to getting up at, I'll use my time at 3 a.m. every morning, right? So when your alarm clock gets up, if you don't hit the snooze button and you get out of bed right when your alarm clock goes up, that's actually a win.
Massive win.
Huge.
And then if you set other routines for yourself, I think morning routines are extremely important. Like that's where I spend the time. I spend time with myself. I spend time with God. I spend time with meditation.
Yep.
Teddy. No, Teddy just, I mean, he just walks with me.
But it's part
It's
of
too
it,
early for him.
know?
My dog does not, he gets up and goes pee, but like 3 a.m. is not
It's not his vibe.
his vibe.
No.
That's okay.
Not
It
even
happens.
close. The gym is a win.
Yes.
You know, I
Movement
think
is a win.
movement.
Any movement.
And then after that, it's like, a cold plunge is a win for me because
Yeah.
I love the cold plunge.
Yes.
Love it
Yeah.
to death, but not on my way there. Never on my way to the cold plunge am I like, I want to get in freezing cold water right now.
Nobody wants to
I'm
get
actually
in the cold water.
thinking, I don't fucking want to do this.
Yes.
But I've made it I have literally made it a habit. I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, and I'm like, fuck, it's so funny. I do all of these little things. Like, instead of driving in these lanes over here, I get all the way over into this lane because that way I pass my exit to get off to go to my house, and I go to the and once I'm in front of the cold plunge, like I just drive to the parking lot. And then I'm like, you know what? If you decide when you get to the parking lot, you don't want a cold plunge, there's no fucking way I'm not, because the people inside the cold plunge know my car, and they would know if I fucking backed up and I left.
That's right.
And one of the ladies that cold plunges at the same time in there, she literally calls me a pussy
Well,
sometimes.
Yeah.
that's sometimes what needs to happen.
Totally.
You need to be called a bitch for a second and
you
move
do.
on.
And I'm like, I can go 7.
So, but that's what it is, though. It's morning routines are super important. You have to be careful with morning routines because people will use it to either help themselves or delay. And I've seen it where people will create like 4-hour routines. Like, oh, I have to do it or my day falls apart. No, you don't. You could go for a walk. You could get in a cold shower if you're traveling.
Yeah.
Or you could sit in meditation and prayer in a hotel room.
No, for sure.
You know what
can
I
do that.
mean?
Definitely.
And you can condense
You have to be
it.
able to adapt.
That's it,
It's
right?
like-
the scheduling of things is great, but it has to be malleable. You have to. Like right now, I have a client. He's 450 days straight in a cold plunge. Like
Wow.
But I said, dude,
Whoa.
you got to, yeah, he's relentless. He's like,
Damn.
I'm like, dude, you're going to be traveling soon. He's like, I already got it on lock. I already know where I need to be. I already know where I'm going to go. I already know the spots. I got it. Worst come to worst, I'll fill up the bathtub with water and ice. That's it.
That's what Mark Wahlberg does every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he travels like a I mean, obviously he's got more money than most people, and
But still, it
he's-
doesn't take. It takes effort.
$5 at the
He still-
convenience store for some ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn that tap on. And
Yep,
go live your life.
That's what he does.
And if you can't get ice, that's okay. Turn that cold water on as cold as it goes.
Dude,
and
that
put it on the
shit
back
gets
of your
cold.
neck.
A
Yeah.
shower? A cold shower?
What about grounding? Do you guys ground?
I'm a massive, massive, massive believer in grounding. It is one of the best tools you have to literally take your body from this to this, because it will actually, it's been proven, will like suck out inflammation. It will heal your body from the inside, because
And all you have to do is what? Walk barefoot?
don't even have to walk. Stand still in the grass.
For how long?
I do it 10 minutes a day. I make my clients do it 10 minutes a day. Or what I love to do is I'll tell clients 10 minutes a day, no phone. Or sit and pray or meditate or read. Because a lot of people that I work with have TBIs. So one of the best things you can do for TBI is read. But it's so hard because you'll read the same page 20 times and go,
Dude,
I
that
didn't
was-
absorb any of that.
Oh my God, that was me for the first, because I finally started really reading in 2019 because Jonathan's an avid reader. And finally I found an author, and then I ended up getting into the book. But I hated reading so much because I would have to read the same page literally 7 times.
It's your vestibular
And I'm
system.
like, what in the world? Why am I not?
It's your vestibular system. Nothing that you're doing. It's not.
But as I keep doing it,
yeah. Well, that
I'm getting
muscle.
better.
Well, that muscle gets better. So
Exactly.
that's
Just
what
like
happens
with
with your
anything.
vestibular system. If you work the eyes will heal, and it's no different than anything else. And so what's really important is working the muscles. It's like they figured out this muscle. They're starting to call it the God muscle in the brain, and they see it in massively obese people. It is non-existent because they've realized that if you don't use it, it atrophies. And what helps grow it is difficulty.
yeah.
So getting in the
Oh my
cold
God,
plunge when you don't want to do
Huberman
it.
talks about it.
Yeah.
With David Goggins. It's a good one because it actually is scientifically proven.
Right.
When you
What
do
is that?
something.
Is that a podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Huberman is a great one. Just like with
He's a Stanford professor.
Yeah. All backed by science.
Yeah.
But
Essentially
he sits with
lectures.
David Goggins, and he tells Goggins that it actually is scientifically proven when you are doing something like, say, the cold plunge,
Yep.
and you don't want to do it, you hate doing it, then you go ahead and you end up doing it. It releases the neuroplasticity in your brain where it is continuing to grow. I forget which portion of it.
Yeah, there's a technical
But
name
yeah,
of it.
I don't know the technical name.
But it's a muscle in the brain, and if you don't use it, you lose it. That it will actually atrophy.
It's just like any other muscle, right? Any other muscle
yeah,
in your
pretty
body.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't use it, you lose it.
Right. And so if you do hard things,
Right?
Yeah.
you forgot you needed a mic in front of your face.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You lose it. You lose it.
You really do.
It is true with everything. If you don't, that's why it's.
It's daily practice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a daily practice.
Everything is.
Yeah.
But if you can find the joy in it, it makes life so much easier. When you start acting like this world is happening for you and not to you, everything gets so much easier.
Yeah.
But people want to live in the victim mentality
It's easier.
because it's easy.
Easier.
And
to
that's
blame.
what they've been trained their whole lives.
Well, and
you know,
that's it.
It's really sad when you grow up with parents that are victims. You know, certain areas of the world, there's a victim mentality that comes with that. Everybody has the same opportunities.
That's right. But you get the opportunity, and that's the difference, right? People will see it as, oh, no, I didn't do this because I grew up here and because this is the color of my skin and because of this, and this.
Right.
Bullshit. I know some of the hardest dudes, most successful people I've ever seen in my life come from the ghettos of Chicago, who came over on a boat from Vietnam, who like shouldn't have been alive. But these dudes are out there like Trung. Trung's a great example. He owns We Go Home. You ever heard of We Go Home? I feel like you, okay, they're in Texas. You're gonna love them. We Go Home. So Trung is from Vietnam. I've had him on the show. He came over on a boat with his mom. They grew up in Chicago in like government housing around just the sketchiest of the sketch. And there was a Chicago police officer who stopped them one day. He was like 14 years old, gave him his card and was like, man, you can't be hanging around these guys. You got to change something, dude. You're going to become a banger and then I'm going to be arresting you. He took that card and he decided at that moment, he said, I'm dedicating my life to becoming, I want to be a Chicago SWAT. I want to be a cop. He went, I'm totally butchering this, but like he went from that, he became a special operator in the United States military, and then went and became a SWAT with Chicago police. And now he trains. He does stuff with two Lamb, and they just launched a product together. But anyway, they are the examples. I'm so tired of people giving this, well, the color of my skin. Shut up. You are choosing that. You get to decide. No one else gets to decide your life. You do. But if you keep telling yourself and feeding yourself the same victim mentality bullshit, I grew up in the woods in Canada, in the middle of nowhere. You know what my neighbors were? Bears and the 2 turkeys that came out every day and then came back in. Those were my neighbors. I grew up with 2 parents who were truck drivers. My dad was gone most of the time. My mom raised my brother and I, and we did every sport possible to keep us on the right track. But my parents taught me one thing: can't doesn't exist. Cut it out of the dictionary and your vocabulary. It's bullshit. You can do absolutely anything. We didn't have money. We didn't have any of these things. You can get there if you choose to stay on the path. But the second you go out of alignment, everything will follow. Everything negative will happen, and you will use all of those things. Well, I didn't get here because I'm not the right color, because they only accept this many people, or I didn't do this because... Shut up. Stop it. You are making excuses for your life. When are you going to take accountability? I can't stand it. This new generation irks me to the bone. To the raising a child right now is a trip.
I couldn't even imagine. I could not imagine.
You know what you do? Real easy. You make them go in cold water. You make them do hard things. You act as the barrier, but not their boundary. Meaning, how I parent is like this. If you go to bowling and you see kids, the little bowling sides, that's all my husband and I are. We'll give you a wide berth. But you smack off the edges, we'll recorrect you and realign you. It's not my job to protect you in certain situations, but if somebody's bullying you at school and you tell me, cool, I'm not going to come and solve your problem. I'm going to tell you, you tell them, push me again, hit me again, I'm going to push back. That's the rule. Because this world, when you leave it, when you walk out of my house, is not going to be all rainbows and sunshine. He has his own business already. He already knows how to run a warehouse. He already knows what cost goods are. He already knows how to read a line sheet. You can teach your kids this, but you have to be an active participant.
Yeah.
Actively.
And bullies only bully until you punch them in the nose.
That's right.
True.
But teachers don't like that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You got to remember, our school systems are not designed to create leaders. They're designed to create sheep. Create sheep.
Yeah.
Of course.
And when your 7-year-old walks up to his principal and calls her a sheep, they don't love that. But the harsh reality is you are. So you can either act accordingly, teach them how to be good leaders and how to change this world.
But
or
I'm
you
the
can let them...
leader of the sheeps at this school.
Right.
Right. That's it. At this
I'm
school.
sorry. I can talk shit. So
Yeah.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. No, I'm so here for it. I wanted to come on the show because I told Natalie, I said, I want to do the show. I know I don't have a past in addiction, and I know I haven't walked your path, but I admire the fuck out of what you three are doing here, because it is so needed. It is so necessary. And I have so many clients who are decided to get sober and rely on this show. I'm not exaggerating. I text you about one of them. She watches this religiously. She goes to your meetings. She's a participant, and she went her whole life with her dad that drank, and then she drank, and she couldn't figure out why she hated herself. It was because she was doing what her dad was doing. She was repeating the pattern.
Yeah.
And then one day she said, Kelsie, I don't want to drink anymore. How do we do this? And I know she's been sober now for months.
Wow.
Nice.
But she has her moments.
Of course.
She has her moments, but she calls. She doesn't work the steps in that way because of her schedule with where she works, but she works the program in that way with me. And we give her alternatives, and we're honest about these things. But your guys' show, what you've provided for people is showing them that you can come from anywhere. And it does not matter what your parents are. It does not matter where you grow up. Like, you had the best parents.
Best.
The best.
You can have the best parents and still have a problem.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, right?
That's the other thing
You
too,
were
though.
saying
I want to
still
go
end up
all
like her.
and
I
still
knew what you were gonna say. And still end up like her.
in the WWE
Yeah.
superstar.
A mess.
No,
Hot
not a mess. So you're not a mess.
Well, no, for sure, because
Well, she's not now.
looking at it from
But that's it.
outside perspective, it would think like that's impossible. Loving parents instilled great values, sports, athletics, siblings, all of the things, and then you put me side by side with someone that is totally dysfunctional house, separated parents, not in sports, and me and them are the same. We're running together.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
But that's the thing. We're all
There's
people.
no discrimination in addiction.
So like I mean, I like what you're doing anyways. You're helping
It's the
people.
same thing.
It's the same thing. And if there are so many paths to, I like to call it recovery because like I actually liked what you said way back about labeling, right? Even giving me the title of "Hi, I'm Chad, I'm an addict." That's a label.
I hate it.
I'm like not okay. I don't use that label. If I use that label at all, I might say I'm a recovering addict.
Right, but that's different.
You know, but I'm not that person anymore. I know why they do that in AA and NA is to instill the fact that you don't ever want to forget.
Yeah,
I don't want to forget. See, my last day,
Yes.
a 6'5" guy kicked in my front door and took a bail agent, and he took me to the county jail because it's the only place I could detox and not leave.
Right.
And you know, that shit saved my life.
Right.
And it's important
and
to
I
never
don't want to
forget.
I don't want to
Yes.
forget that how I felt just moments before the guy came, because I didn't know he was coming.
Right. Can I ask you something about that?
Yeah, of course.
So do you think that if you didn't say it that way, you would forget?
Yes, because that's how the addict brain, or at least mine is, because I have done it and I have forgotten and I've went right back to that person. So it's really important for myself to remember who I can be.
Right.
And I can
you
be
have
not
that, but
good.
you. Because we're all different.
I prefer to just, I usually just say that I'm in recovery. I don't even say I'm a recovering addict. I just say I'm in recovery.
Because I've had some people who say that, where they're like, I'll give you an example. We had a guy in our program when we were doing the addiction and psychedelic integration program. And so we learn about every single 12-step, this step, inpatient, out. Like we have to. We just have to go through it all. Where they come from, the histories behind them, how they're designed, what they do, what they don't do, where the good strengths are, where the bad strengths are. We have to look at the stuff with open eyes to see every part of it. And this guy, he goes, I'm an addict. And to be in the program, like you can't be using. And so there was 100 people in the class, and somebody goes, "You're an addict?" And he goes, "Yes, once an addict, always an addict." I have never seen so many people jump in and go, no, you're not. How long have you been sober? 15 years. You're not an addict then, bro. You were an addict. You are in recovery. You are not the same person. And if you keep telling yourself, I'm an addict, and he got so angry with us. Oh, he was livid because he became attached to the label that I am an addict. You're not an addict. Just like I was a soldier, I am not a soldier. Just like I had PTSD, I do not have it now.
It's crazy because you know what? A lot of soldiers actually have a hard time detaching from from being a soldier. You know, that's a big deal. Like once a Marine, always a Marine here in the United States.
Oh, I know. I hear all about it. But here's the thing though. You're not, son.
Well, it's the same thing with professional athletes, NFL, NBA.
Right.
Once you step away from being a professional
all of
athlete
that stuff
and taking off that jersey, it's very difficult because
you lose your purpose
and your identity.
And that's why you have 44 suicides a day.
Yeah.
Because we don't help people transition. We don't give them purpose and direction. And we tell them that when you take the uniform off, that...
I mean, that's one of the most fucked up things we do in the United States. I mean, we grab people that are not doing well in life.
Yep.
Those are the people that sign up to go to be in the military because they're already having problems in their life.
Jail or Marines. A lot of my friends got that choice. You can go to jail, you can go to Marines. And they poach your kids from your high school. So they can't do this in Canada. They don't do this in
but
Canada.
there's still 18 suicides every
22.
No, 22.
No, I'm
44. 44.
Oh,
Let's just talk
civilians.
civilians.
Yeah, that's just civilians.
Every 18 minutes, there's a suicide.
Right.
And
For
that's
males
in
from 18 to
America.
50, for 18 to 50 or something.
It's like every minute if you go worldwide.
Yeah.
So I did a TEDx last year in
I
November.
thought she said 10x.
Right?
I had
No.
PTSD.
I did not. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if I just gave you a moment of pause there. I did a TEDx last year on November 11th. And I was asked to do it on behalf of one of the organizations, the very first charity I donated to, Honor House. And they said, can you go speak on our behalf? And then you can talk about some other things. So I did it. 18,000 seats, biggest one in Canada, did it at SFU. Guess what's not being published?
That one.
44 a day. Took me 30 some odd days to write the talk.
So sad.
Yeah. And we keep going back to them and going like, everyone else has been published. Why haven't you published mine in the generals? Why haven't you published it? Because we're talking about within 30 days of me writing that speech, 1,584 people killed themselves, meaning that many parents aren't going to be there. That many parents are not going to walk you down the aisle. That many parents are not going to be there to raise you. None of that. But we can't talk about that. We can't talk about how we've lost 4 times more people to suicide than we did in all of the war we shouldn't have been in the first place. So we can't have those conversations. Let's give them more pills because they're worth more money to the government. Let's give them more pills because they're worth more to the pharmaceutical companies. Let's just keep giving them more. Let's keep them quiet. Let's give our money everywhere else. And let's leave our veterans homeless, on drugs, stuck because they're a number, because we're a number. So when we take the uniform off, no wonder we want to kill ourselves because we know we don't have anybody. That's not America. That's NATO. The UK have no VA, by the way, at all.
Yeah, because they just get the regular insurance, right?
Yeah, they don't. We can't be insured. I can't be insured because I'm at risk for suicide because of my labels. So I can't. I don't have life insurance. Like my husband kicks it. We're good. I kick it. They got debt.
Yeah.
That's the reality. I'm not insurable. So in the UK, it's like similar. Some people, you cannot be insured if you've been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. You lose your guns in the United States if you're diagnosed with a mental health disorder. And so the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, you name it, any of the NATO members, we are all very consciously aware now. And nobody can go into the service anymore and go, we're going to be looked after afterwards, because we ain't, and you know it, and we have proof.
Yeah.
So you have to look after yourself.
Which is so sad.
It's so sad.
It's really, and that's that
Like,
that
what's
that stuff
heartbreaking.
really pisses me
Me
off.
too.
That one pisses me off
too.
because like they could easily put together a integration protocol that would be highly
Oh my
effective,
God,
and then on top of that, they could give them better health care insurance than what I get, because whatever I need, I can get it immediately.
Right.
And I haven't even gone to war.
Right.
You
and
know?
so that's what we see, especially in Canada. So like people think we have healthcare. We don't.
No, yeah, we know
We have
that.
death care. So part of
Ours is actually death care too.
except you're not actively trying to kill your people with mental illness.
It's true.
We're
I
using
mean,
our taxpayer dollars to do it. So
I've heard some shit
Yeah.
about MAID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what made some of my shit pop and go viral, was when we started talking about MAID. There's 2 documentaries we're in coming out this year about MAID, which is an absolute we don't need to go down that route. It's too dark. But I guess my point is like, if we gave people the tools and we showed up for them in the sense that before they leave the service, we give them a plan of action, because people will say, well, we sit down and we teach them about job training and where they can go next and how what they learn is applicable in real life. One of the best things you can do is hiring a veteran. They are self-starters. They are aggressive if you give them a mission set. They're some of the best employees I've ever worked with. But for some reason, people see us as risk. They just see us as risk when we're the biggest assets out there. Because we know we will go to the ends of the earth for anybody that shows up for us. That's what people miss, is like, we are some of the best employees, the best leaders. I mean, some of us.
Of course.
Because there's
But
shippers and
they're also
everything.
some of the worst people, just like an addict.
Well, and that's what it is.
You know, you could have
That's
10
very
years,
true.
And then you fall off. You
Yes.
can be the best employee, and then
And that's just
day to
called being a
night.
human being.
Well, that's
you're gonna
normal
have
too,
good
right?
eggs
Well,
and
no,
you're gonna
no,
have
no,
bad
because
ones.
you have average people that are consistently average.
That's right.
You have those people that are consistently average people, and that's the mainstream. Then you have an addict is on one side, and then when they get sober, they're way over here.
Yeah.
You know, so
They have to, because you have to go through adversity.
Yeah.
You have to, and that's why you have to start kids young. You have to give them adversity. So when then something shows up in their life
I
that's
said
hard,
to my wife, beat the kids. She says, no. I'm saying
you just
gotta-
can't beat
There's a book out that my dad gave me, and I can't remember the title of the book, but it has something to do with giving your kids the right amount of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's healthy trauma.
Yeah, healthy
Yeah.
trauma for success. You can't. I mean, if life is just handed to you and
It doesn't work.
no,
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No, because then you're gonna break when you get told no for the very first time. It's
Right.
like life is filled with, or at least mine was.
Yeah.
You're gonna get told no a hell of a lot of times.
Right.
And then when you do get that win, you're like, yeah,
I
we're running.
like Eric Thomas. He's like, wow, when I get that no, I know that I'm just one yes away.
It's
That's right.
true.
That's true.
It's true. I've
You know it the
I've
best.
You gotta get
I've gone
excited.
to the same individuals or companies or whatever, and they tell me no, I will come right back.
I know you
and
will.
Then, and then again and again, and then finally, I perhaps will get a yes. And I have gotten yeses.
Because you're relentless, and they prefer to have somebody relentless. It's like, how bad do you want this life you say you want?
For sure. And not only that, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, you either shoot your shot or you stay the same and don't know. I'd rather go ahead and shoot it. And then if I get told no, it's like, okay, cool. Either I'm going to like maneuver and figure out if I really, really want this, then I'm going to continue to go, or pivot and you go to the next one.
That's right.
So it's just, it's how life is.
But that's because you have gone through struggle. You understand that if you just keep moving forward,
Progress.
Equals happiness.
that's
does.
it. There's nothing, this isn't rocket science.
It's not, but you know what? And why I think a lot of people don't do it is because it does require the actionable steps.
Yeah.
It does require effort, and it does require work.
Yeah.
Well, the other part that people always forget, it also requires a spiritual
Yes.
connection, because when times are hard,
Yes.
you need to rely on something greater than yourself
Right.
Oh, for sure.
to get through those tough times.
Right.
Like when you
And even for the good ones, though, you need to remember, like, you didn't make shit happen. It's thank you, God. Thank you for bringing this opportunity.
I literally, that's been like a thing that I integrated back into my prayers, is like, I actually thank God for this life that I've been given.
Me too.
First, before I go complaining about shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because it usually,
And then I'll complain about the shit.
usually I go straight to the complaining. I'm like,
Right.
God, come on, man. This
Right.
is like,
It's funny. I have
you got me in a tough spot. Not lately. I've been just praying for God, just you know what, clear this pathway for me. Clear this pathway, because I'm coming no matter what.
Right.
And I'll clear it myself
Well, because that's
with
what,
him on my side.
but that's what
obviously.
that's what gratitude can do, right? Like anxiety cannot exist with gratitude at the same time. So when people feel anxious, it's like, why aren't you just starting to say, I'm grateful for this? Because it will literally dissolve. It will go down. I had a girl say that to me last night. She goes, yeah, but what if I'm anxious because of the weed I smoked? I was like, then don't smoke the
Totally.
weed.
Stop smoking the
Yeah.
fucking weed.
I don't,
then.
I'm like, what?
Huh?
What?
Yeah.
This is it.
Probably
I
don't
mean,
do that.
If it makes you
even
anxious.
even when you're in a hard time and in a struggle, like I'm grateful for the struggle.
Yes.
Because the struggle's gonna make me a better, stronger,
Yes.
Yeah.
amazing
Always-
human being,
yes.
because I pushed through it no
Yes.
matter what.
It's just like it's like you think of yourself as a knife. You just got to go back into the forge so you can come out and just be hammered into something more beautiful again. That's all it is. Just in and out, in and out. We're going to have that in our life. Just because you're up here now, it doesn't mean you're going to stay there,
Oh,
right?
100%.
It must be lunchtime, because I thought of a hamburger when she said In and Out.
I
Oh my God.
God, I
What?
love in and out. I don't have it at home, so when I'm here, I am for real
You
about it.
should, be for real about it when you're here, because
I don't eat the buns though. I get like the lettuce, and I just get
that's
meat.
cool. That's
I just
like a
get meat
protein
and lettuce.
style.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
yeah, if you just tell them protein style,
Yeah.
you don't even have to tell them no buns.
Oh, I go in. I'm like, I want the the lettuce wrap thing.
Oh, yeah. No, just say protein
No
style.
sauce. Just give me meat and lettuce.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, protein.
Protein style.
I'm learning so many things.
That's okay. You're Canadian. You get a pass.
Do you get a pass too, or how
He
long have
doesn't
you?
get
I mean,
no.
we
Daily
try.
No, he doesn't.
Daily
get a
pass. Daily pass.
I mean, I actually have to do like warnings to like
Yeah.
our audience
Or
that-
guests.
or guests that we have a Canadian in the room,
Because sometimes
and
people
that-
do
Do it to me,
inappropriate
too.
things.
and that he
or
might
says
say something that is okay in Canada but not okay here.
Like what?
Who knows?
What do you say in Canada that's not okay here? It's the opposite.
He has Shane terminology.
Everything that he says is not okay here. But
I'm not appropriate at times.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, that's all. That's
Is that a Canadian thing?
no,
Possibly.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Even if it's not a Canadian thing, I just blame it on Canada.
Yeah.
Everybody, you
It's
should.
like the excuse.
You
'cause
should.
It's like,
Even if it's just a
And
shame.
if the weed's bad, change the strain, for fuck's sake.
That's not. That was my next thing too.
Shit.
was like, it's not the
Shit.
right, it's not the right mix for you.
strain.
What are you doing? Are you doing what's the one that makes you like more awake and less
Sativa.
hungry?
Sativa.
Sativa. Yeah, is
Sativa.
that what they're smoking?
That's the day drug.
That's the daytime.
That's the day drug.
That's the day one.
Indica's the night drug.
There
Yeah,
it is.
don't smoke indica
No, I
in the
can't.
fucking
You
morning.
can't.
Into couch. That's what it's
Into
called.
couch.
Into couch. Yeah. You get it.
Oh my
For me, it
God.
was in the fridge because
Oh,
I was eating.
no, that's
like,
a sativa. You'll
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah.
I was like fucking.
Oh
mama,
my
anything
God.
that's bad for you,
Serious.
that's what I ate. Like Doritos,
Oh, God.
Mama
It
Celeste
was
chips.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like I
Never.
was fat when
Yeah.
I smoked weed.
No, see, if I use cannabis, the rule is you're only allowed fruit. So I'll sit there and I'll eat half a watermelon with like a melon baller. But that's like the rule. It's like fruit or vegetables. You are not allowed because you will get fat.
Oh yeah,
And I am
Fucking,
not allowed
like,
to get fat.
like fat burrito, like Taco Bell,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I had
never
a chicken
had Taco
quesadilla the
Bell.
other day.
Taco,
Yeah.
Is it good?
taco. No,
pretty
I mean,
frosty.
yes, but
Yeah.
I mean, no.
No, it's like weird because
Like it is like
it's
not
it's
even
really good, but it's not
food.
food. It's like disgusting.
It's just
You're-
like processed stuff.
Basically, if you want to feel like you're dying the next day,
Oh.
go right ahead.
Taco Bell.
Yeah,
But it,
That's a great
but
ad.
it kind of like tastes good.
no, it does. Me and Jonathan used to go ham like on a cheat day.
Jonathan?
Oh yeah, we would just
Really?
fuck up some Taco Bell, and then
That
we
is not how
finally
your
did-
abs are made. I'm sorry.
No, and not only that, that's just not how like after Taco Bell, I'm not well like physically. and
No,
mentally.
no one is.
Well,
no one
well,
is.
well, that's
It
the
fucks
thing.
me up. It's
Serotonin.
like- yeah.
Everything's in the gut. So whatever you put in your face is going to directly result
Yeah.
in your mental health.
Yeah.
Of course, but
people
there's
need to
54
stop.
chemicals in the burger.
Jesus Christ.
And
There's
what?
54 chemicals in Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, that they don't have burgers there.
Well, they have
You
chicken.
scared me.
They have chicken.
I thought you were
You
talking
just said
about.
burger.
I thought you were talking
what
about
are you talking
In-N-Out.
about? You totally just
Or
segued
even-
into.
even
you
in-
said
even
burger.
even in the meat, quarter pounder with cheese is a better meat than the plain cheeseburger. They're different meat.
Yeah.
There's more chemicals in those meats.
Yeah.
They affect the serotonin. They give off
Yeah.
that feeling of goodness and
Right.
happiness.
Yeah, that's why
You
organ
know
meat
what?
is the
I
best
think
meat.
that the freaking chicken nuggets, the McNuggets.
They're not chicken.
They're
nuggets.
not.
No, I know
real
they're
food.
67
That's not
chemicals in
chicken.
there. There's 60
You guys,
That's not chicken.
they're not
in
real
that nugget.
food. You cannot get real food for $1.99.
God, it's
So-
10
it ain't
bucks now.
happening.
It's
So
10
I've been
bucks now.
eating. I don't know about you. So I've been eating like 80% meat. Like that's just
Yeah.
been my diet, right? And so, but here's the problem. You ever heard of carnivore snacks?
Yeah, I can't stand them.
What?
I bought these guys expensive.
They're
I
so
haven't- I haven't
expensive.
had
No,
so
you
expensive.
bought us those organic
That
ones.
was carnivore snacks.
Those are.
Oh, it was
I'm-
by-
I've never had it.
Oh, they're.
I didn't
so-
have it.
It's almost
Well,
like
we're
grease.
not gonna get
Yeah.
our sponsorship
Yeah, I know.
from them.
Well, no,
now.
you're not going to get
Fucking-
one from. They're with Joe. You're not getting one. They don't
okay.
sponsor anyone. But also, there's some nasty stuff going on with them right now. Like,
Huh?
no, they're good. But like, there's some. Anyway, they're a great company. But like, the government's coming down.
Oh, yeah.
It's that kind of.
Why? Because it's a healthy snack? Oh my gosh, I cannot. This
So
is
that's
so
what I was-
Well,
bad.
Joe Rogan will go after
Yeah,
him.
thank God for Joe.
At least,
Yeah.
I mean, for real, because
know.
like,
Jeez Louise.
thank God he, and I'm just gonna say that. Well, he had a huge platform, and all of a sudden, he fucking woke the fuck up, and he was like, "Holy shit!"
He's one of the reasons why most
Yes.
Canadians like the thing with Joe. I don't know him, but the thing with Joe from watching, watching, is the willingness to die on the sword on things so that other people can get a voice. Like the way he's uplifted Jordan and the way that he's been able to
Dude.
get his voice out. I just want him to talk about Made. I need someone to talk about Made.
I mean, I'm sure.
Is
I'm
there
sure he
anybody
will.
that can come? Yeah, yeah.
But-
you just need a good guest that.
What is
willing.
fascinating about Joe though is he will have anybody on, and he has a willing. Not only is he super knowledgeable, and the dude definitely researches and reads like
Right.
a maniac, and is able to retain a lot of crazy information from like political to all the way to like UFOs. So
love
the spectrum is wild, but it's the conversation that we should be able to have as a nation, as human beings.
Correct.
And having the willingness to be a Democrat and a Republican, which two-party system's stupid. But
Yes.
if you are a Democrat and a Republican, if you can sit down and actually have a true blue conversation with open-mindedness and also respecting one another to
Yeah.
understand point of views, and then giving reasoning wise without all of a sudden being crazy
Or
and
screaming.
without
Yeah.
or going like, oh my god, you guys just said something political on your podcast, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm leaving. That we get all these.
Oh, yeah.
We just went
Unfollow.
we just went and
I love the
all we did is went and voted because
Yeah.
we think
'Cause that's what you should
we
do.
think it's
That's what-
important
you vote with
that
your dollars. You vote. You vote.
yes,
mean-
we think it's important that everybody gets out and votes. That's how the
Right.
country as a whole has a voice, right? So we did
For now.
we did a funny podcast. I mean, not a podcast. We just did a reel
Yeah.
that we went
Yeah.
and voted, and like
Oh,
you know,
no.
we bleeped out who we voted for and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like we
because
were.
At least I know who you voted for.
I know, but it's not like we're not.
First
we're
off,
not we're not a political.
we're not a
thing,
political
and
podcast.
and that's not like our whole thing, so it doesn't matter. But it's also we were just saying like go out and vote, dude.
Were you hit?
we got hate like a
People
motherfucker.
were so upset.
Yeah, we got some hate. And my favorite one though is like, and I don't care. Like, people can say whatever they want, but my favorite one is when they say, "This is a hard no. I'm leaving now. Bye." And then I'm like, you don't, just if you don't like us, just unfollow. You don't have to announce it. We're actually not going to change who we are
Exactly.
to conform to what you wish we would be.
Right.
And some of the other people, like, because in AA and NA, there's a tradition, and it says that we won't, we have no opinion on political issues.
But we're not
That's-
affiliated
We're-
with AA or with.
This is
it's
not an AA
yeah.
group and this is
Okay.
the group as a whole. Any individual that goes to Alcoholics Anonymous they can't talk about their political affiliation inside the group, but outside the group you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And we weren't even saying that. We were just saying get out and vote.
Period.
Period.
You mean just do what you're supposed to do
just
as
be a good
responsible
citizen.
citizen
Yeah.
of your country?
And it was his first time ever voting as an American citizen
Or Canadian.
or Canadian.
Hey, buddy! That's all right. You don't need to vote in Canada. They called the election
yeah,
before all of our
that's what I'm
votes were even
saying.
counted, so it didn't
Yeah.
matter. I was walking in, and they're like, "Oh, they already called the election." I'm like, "There's 3 other provinces, though." And they're like, "No, they called it."
He won again.
Yeah, she dicey. She dicey up there. You know, he can go for another term.
It's okay. I don't like Canada because every time I tried to get into your damn country, they wouldn't let me, and it was like a process, and they made me sit in some like whatever solitary little.
Yeah, the little
Yeah, it was
rooms.
terrible.
Well, you should try to have a podcast up there and see what happens.
No, thank
Nobody
you.
will fly up there. I got one person right now. I got 2 people that are coming up for in-person episodes. Mike
Hell no.
Baker.
Hell nah.
Mike Baker's making the trip.
That's amazing.
And then AJ Buckley.
Awesome.
But other than that, everyone's like, "Fuck you, come to me."
FaceTime.
I know. Yeah. Like,
I-
no.
And there's nothing better than an in-person podcast,
Yeah, it's
you know.
It is. It's nice. It's just like you're able to feel their vibe and energy, and it's just you're a little bit more. And obvious, I don't know. You're just more.
We're connected.
More
Well, and also
It's-
too,
it's
It's
intimate.
a little bit annoying sometimes because there is that delay, and obviously,
Yeah.
like we kind of talk over each other sometimes, or you interrupt, but you can't really do that on
Zoom?
Zoom because you
Yeah.
kind of miss it.
This
you know?
this big of a podcast really wouldn't
Never.
No,
work if-
never.
because we literally, the 3 of us,
We just
sometimes
always
we can
are
just,
always talking.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's what
And
we're
our
craving
camera
this
people
year.
don't even like, they're just switching it like a
Yeah.
motherfucker
Just
right
back
now.
and
I know,
forth.
I
Watch,
just-
He doesn't
watch,
even know
watch,
who to
watch.
switch
There
it
we
to.
go.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
there we go. Nice.
I like that. But that's what we're doing with Brass and Unity show
Yeah.
this year. Where I'm definitely
Take
changing.
it on the road, dude.
Well, we are. So that's what we're starting to do. We're going to do a spot in Austin. We're going to do 12 episodes out there. We're going to come to LA. We're going to do 12 spots, and we're going to record. I would like to do Florida because I got a lot of people that I
yeah,
want to talk
Florida.
to. Gary Brecka's out there. Knees Over Toes guys out there.
Oh yeah, he's great.
CEO of Boot Campaigns out there.
Nice.
So I want to do some hubs and some spots, and I want to do chunks of episodes.
Yeah.
And just for the people that want to come up, they're always welcome. I'll take them hiking. We go have steak. We'll go do the thing. Like, that's all fine. But I also understand that people don't want to come to communism, and I don't want to either.
Totally.
So the only way that we do that is by staying there, try to fix the country, and then make it so that you guys want to come up.
True.
But until then, we'll just keep coming down to the States, and I'll just keep doing the spots in the United States. But I've gotten to a point where, like, people are like, "Where are you going now?" I'm like, I'm going to the U.S. And they're like, "Why don't you move there?" I said, "Well, because we're all very similar in what's going on in our worlds. And the
Yeah.
only way that we make where we live better instead of running somewhere else is by staying and fighting. So I have to do that. I feel obligated to do that because I want my son to be able to say that we fixed the problems.
Sure.
And I think when you have a big enough voice and you have people in the country like Jordan and you have other people that are willing to speak, he hasn't fled.
No, true.
He hasn't fled. So why would I?
He's a badass. I like him.
I love
His
him.
daughter too.
Did you
Yeah, I've had Michaela on.
did you feel like wanting to say anything right now about like when she talked about Florida and her guests that live out there? Or did you get a
Why? I see some. No, tell me where you're going.
Just bad
He has
experience.
no idea.
Just
Yeah, I do.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, I do.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, well, if Florida's not the hub, you tell me a better hub.
Fine.
to go.
No, it's
like
fine. I
Florida.
think we like Florida.
Hey,
Florida's
love
great.
Florida.
We'll tell you off the air.
Florida's
Yeah.
red.
Okay.
I love
Great.
Florida.
Florida's awesome.
We'll tell you off the air who
I lived in all
who we're
places.
not a fan of
Yeah.
anymore.
I lived in all places of Florida.
Yep.
Shout out to Florida. I lived in Tampa,
Way to be.
Orlando, and then I almost moved to Miami. Me too. I almost moved to Miami at 21.
Probably not a good idea.
I mean, for sure not. For sure. I remember going there for the first time ever on I can't exactly remember why, maybe spring break or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm staying.
oh yeah, that's probably a bad idea.
Frontal lobe, not right.
That ain't it.
Not impulsive
Oh, yeah.
behavior
No.
like a mofo.
No decisions for you. For at
I'm
least
trying to
3
make it.
5.
I'm
3
trying to make
5,
it easy
you're off
for
the
all these
books.
guests. I'm trying to find the hubs that I know where the most
Well, you
people
have
are
a
that I want
studio
to
in
talk
Orange
to.
County. So
For a fee.
Stop.
For a fee.
Yeah, I'll pay for it.
For a
It's
fee.
fine.
Yeah, she's got it. Oh, I'm sorry.
She's
She's gonna give
Canadian.
her shit away.
Oh, really? Sweatshirt man?
Oh,
Oh man, you straight got ratted on
I
too.
just pooped.
listen, my
Because-
girl's got me over here. She's for
Because-
real. She ain't a pretend friend. She's one of those
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, all
No.
right, that's fine.
I don't know
Talk
her
to
from.
Natalie. Talk
I
to
don't know
Natalie.
her from like
Talk to
Instagram. Like I
Natalie.
know
Don't
her.
talk to me about the podcast. Then talk to Natalie. She's
I
in charge.
talk to her.
She's actually the one. You know, the woman's always in fucking
Not,
charge.
I mean,
Listen,
no,
when
no.
she's a woman like that,
it's one of those things. I love it because Shane will try to talk some shit and
Uh-huh.
like he forgets. I'm the youngest of all boys and I have no problem talking shit back. So I
this
give
is why I'm obsessed with you.
and then he goes like this.
Ugh.
He doesn't expect.
a little cold in here right now.
Well,
isn't it?
she's one of the only females. She's one of the only females I know that can
That's-
handle my energy
Yeah.
because she grew up in the same environment I grew
Right?
up
Yeah,
in.
yeah. You are a lot.
She
Welcome
is.
to the.
You are a lot.
No.
You know
I'm
what
the
I mean?
right amount.
There you go.
There you go.
You're the
Ooh.
A+. You're the A+.
But you know what? Kelsey,
A+
2 years ago,
personality.
Kelsey would have taken that 2 years ago, left the car, and called my husband, and you know what?
Oh my
He would have
god.
told me, you know what? But that's the difference.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I fucking love myself now.
Yeah.
You can't say anything.
It's all that
that'll
work.
bother
Good
me.
for you.
Oh, for sure.
Good for
That's
you.
it.
And that's what's priceless. And that's the whole point. Is
So you
that's
just
what you're
never
searching
stop
for.
and you end up in a happy spot. Like
Yes.
this. You just never
will get
fucking-
there.
You will get there. Everyone can get there.
Relentless. You just have to be
Relentless.
relentless.
My favorite
Relentless.
words.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Tenacious. You've got to be resilient.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
But that all comes from going through these things. Don't shy away from the hard thing. Don't shy away
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the cold plunge. Don't make the excuse that I'm tired. We're all tired. I can
We're all
promise
fucking
you that.
tired.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Sleep when you die. Sleep.
I used to say that
Sleep
when I
your
was on
time.
meth.
Yeah.
I'd be like, when I was a
No, I
meth
couldn't.
addict.
No, no.
I-
Don't do that.
you have to
I
understand.
get
Don't
my-
do that at all.
Yeah.
You have to understand. I was
You were in it, huh?
I was in it deep,
Okay.
like deep in it. You know, I was the guy that would stay up for,
Days.
13, 14 days in a row. Not really any,
Real healthy.
not really any food. I was straight meth induced psychosis, working for the CIA, doing missions like,
Yeah.
like I've been to war.
Yeah.
In your head. In
Oh
your
yeah.
mind, not in anything real.
warfare. Mental
But
warfare.
also too, we know that you have to get back up to LA because you got shit to do, and I don't want you sitting in traffic because you were in traffic
Yeah,
down
it's
here,
late.
and it's
all
2
good.
o'clock is our cutoff, so
It's
we're
all good.
about that time.
Yeah.
We love you.
Thank you, babe.
Definitely, whenever you're back in town, we want you to come back on.
Thank
And 2,
One,
the studio.
It's
two.
an honor, guys.
3. You had 2
Yeah,
things.
2 2s. Yeah.
Oh.
Did I have 2
I
twos?
thought so. Or 2 1s or something.
I don't
I can't
remember.
recall now. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't
I
know.
What a
don't know,
great
maybe I
what a
said
great
2.
episode. What a great episode.
And you guys can get her Brass and Unity book.
Yeah.
It is out now. You can go on Amazon because
Yeah.
I be loving Amazon.
Brass and Unity.
It's anywhere. You can get it Barnes
Yeah.
and Noble,
Love it.
Amazon. It's
Love it.
everywhere. Yeah.
And then Brass and Unity jewelry.
We donate.
My hoops.
Yeah, we donate our stuff. We work hard with our people. You can listen to the Brass and Unity podcast for similar types of conversations. Just a lot of different individuals talking about resiliency, hard things, going through it. The show is like the the show for me is like, we're going on 4 years. Like this thing is everything to me. And if you're needing any help, you guys can reach out. I'm happy to help. I've got room for 6 clients, and that's where I'm at. And so if you need things, don't hesitate to ask. I'm a big believer in reaching out. It will be the hardest thing you ever do, but it will be the bravest and most courageous thing you'll ever do. I answer my DMs, so please don't hesitate. Thank you guys for having this container and holding this container for people and allowing them to be vulnerable and allowing them to be themselves in a space that is unapologetically just safe.
Yeah.
It's not a safe space.
Yeah.
It's a real space.
Yeah.
It's a for real space. And
For real space, yeah.
I mean
We're not
that.
a safe space.
No, I mean that deeply though. I
But
mean
we are a
that
safe
very
space.
much because every single one of you has done a lot of work to be here.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
love it.
I
Appreciate
admire it. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Amazing.